What's going on, everybody? GemMint here, and we're back with another recent reads. Just got done reading the Secret Invasion Omnibus by Brian Michael Bendis. The show intrigued me. They're making a show of this on Disney Plus, so I wanted to read the full omnibus, get the whole story, the main story, the tie-ins, and kind of get an idea of where they could be going with this show. So with that being said, we're going to jump into this full spoilers because we're going to go through this omnibus pretty thoroughly, and after I'll give you my final thoughts. I do want to thank Dynamite Entertainment for sponsoring this video. Make sure to check out this week's comic book releases for them as they're releasing Red Sonja issue 7 and Barbarella issue 8. Let's jump into this omnibus. All right, here we have the front of the dust jacket. We have this lovely image of a scroll. Spine check here. Secret Invasion, Brian Michael Bendis. $100 cover price, collects a prologue and the 8-issue series, plus issues from New Avengers, Mighty Avengers, New Avengers Illuminati. And like many dust jackets, on the left we have a brief intro to the story, and to the right a biography on the creators. Now the actual hardcover itself has a beautiful double page spread, and I couldn't help to think while reading this there were so many to choose from. They could have picked many images to wrap that with, so that was one of the strengths of the main story itself. Here we have a nice cover page. Here we have all the credits, who worked on each issue. Starts off with the prologue in New Avengers 31. So the whole premise of this Secret Invasion, I mean, it's obvious to see just that it's a Skrull taking over, invading Earth type of story. But it's a little bit more than that when you really get to read this. So I really like this prologue when we find out that somebody was a Skrull and how it freaks everybody out. Even Wolverine, the first thought is, how long have they been a Skrull? How many people have been a Skrull the whole time? Like when we first find out that Elektra was a Skrull, it hits hard in that prologue for sure. So Luke Cage and Jessica Jones play a big role here. We have here Iron Fist, Wolverine, talking about how can they tell whether somebody's a Skrull or not. It freaks Wolverine out because he didn't smell that there was a Skrull, that something was different. So that gets explained in this storyline. And now as we're jumping into it, we're going to learn more about the characters on Spider-Woman, but that's basically the Skrull princess who's leading this invasion. One thing I didn't like about the omnibus, and I'm not really sure how this comic came out when it was in single issues. Here's a nice double page spread. But I didn't like how you got the main story, issues 1 through 8, back to back, and then you had all the tie-ins later on, which were kind of like, oh, well, this is how this happened. And I didn't really enjoy that type of storytelling because I didn't really care as much once the main story was over. So basically what happens here and why the Skrulls want to invade is because their home planet got destroyed during the events of Annihilation. So I love how it tied into that, and I love how it kind of ties into Civil War, because when this Secret Invasion happens and we figure out that the Skrulls are invading, we find out that there were heroes that were already Skrulls during the events of Civil War, during the events of the death of Captain America. So all that stuff was pretty interesting how it tied into those bigger events. Now, really, Reed Richards is the key on how the Skrulls figured out how can they shapeshift into humans to take over the planet without telepaths knowing, without mutants like Logan being able to sniff them out. They're able to get Skrulls to shapeshift into characters like Reed Richards, but kind of stay that way to where they don't even realize that they're a Skrull. And that's what really makes Secret Invasion interesting. Not only the whole who could have been a Skrull and for how long, but that when the Skrulls themselves find out that they've been Skrulls and it freaks them out because they thought they were, we'll see when we get through it, but a couple of heroes take it really hard. So it's cool that it shows that whole process of how the Skrulls ended up figuring out how to bypass those types of mutant senses and superhuman abilities so they can invade. And something I really liked in this issue was they said, hey, we've been living amongst you guys, humans, and we know that if you were in the same position that you would do the same thing. Hell, you have done the same thing on your own planet. So, you know, this is what it is. And it's kind of like, yeah, man, the Skrulls are right. Like, I understand why you guys are invading. You need a home planet. Even though they have many, the Skrulls that are invading here, their planet was destroyed during Annihilation. So then we have basically a version of the Avengers, and that's the current Avengers that's tying into New Avengers with Norman Osborn and everything. And then you have the Skrull Avengers who think they're really the Avengers. And here's just more of the interaction with Reed Richards, and I think they're using the Skrulls, turning them into Reed Richards, and they're trying to tap into his mind to find the answer on how to get away with this whole duplicate thing that can't be detected. So in this main story, again, multiple double-page spreads. They look awesome. I like the interaction. I like the first. I like the whole 8-issue miniseries. The prologue hit really hard, like I said, incorporating Matt Gargan's Scorpion, the Thunderbolt stuff, like I mentioned, with Norman Osborn. Shield working the background, trying to help, but they're not in power right now. The Janet Van Dyne thing plays a huge role here on one of the characters not knowing they were a Skrull with Hank Pym. So that was one of those big takeaways from this story that I'm sure impacted for a little while in Marvel Comics. But here's the Queen. It's Princess Veranke, who that's probably what we're going to see, it looks like, in the Disney Plus show. That character as Spider-Woman here. They had great covers too, and we'll see the variant cover gallery in the back, but recreating classic covers with our characters as Skrulls, which is almost to say, have they been a Skrull this whole time? It's cool to see some of the Skrulls battling within their mind with their Skrull personality and the superhero that they are impersonating, because again, they don't realize it. The only way to pull this off is to use some type of Skrull magic along with some type of scientific thing Reed Richards' mind conjured up to pull off this process. So like I said, the issues afterwards just kind of fill in some of the blanks. There's probably a good reading order out there to kind of incorporate those in between the main issues so that you can really enjoy this as a full omnibus and not kind of like a main story and then chopping up what happened in between, because that's kind of how it felt reading it this way. This was a cool backup story with Nick Fury, and this is with Contessa, who we now have in the MCU. So this is a Skrull impersonating her, and something that we may see on Disney Plus since they have the characters. I wonder if they're going to bring back old school Nick Fury as a Skrull during Secret Invasion. I feel like that's going to happen. Eye patch like the original Nick Fury. This was cool too, man. So your wife, you don't realize you've been with her, or I think it was not even his wife. I think this is Hank Pym, and he's separated from Janet Van Dyne, and the girl ends up being a Skrull. So the backups, I mean, they were enjoyable. They were worth reading. I just wish I would have chose to read it in a better reading order than just front to back here in this omnibus. Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, I mean, I like the character dynamics, but man, they've been playing this same dynamic for how many years with these characters? I mean, I feel like they're doing the same shit, just doing the family life as they're doing now. This is cool. The new Avengers team opposing Norman Osborn here at the end. I believe this is in the pages of Mighty Avengers with Bucky as Captain America, Wolverine, Luke Cage, Ronan, Hawkeye, who had great roles in the main story here. Then Osborn's New Avengers. This book really makes me want to read the New Avengers Omnibus. I think that's the next one I'm going to read. And just even though I'm going back to back Marvel, let's look at some of the variants in the back here. I believe these are, a lot of these by Leinil Francis Yu. So these are just variants, but then they have like an entire homage section. Frank Cho, very distinct. He writes some crazy stuff on the sketch variants he does. I love this in the book too. So it's so Frank Miller, stabbing him and you see it coming through the back or the shirt poked out. I love that. So they even include the sketches here from a lot of the covers we just saw. But I'm definitely a sucker for homages. So let's see. Okay, then you had the director's cut. You had like some old articles and interviews with the creators. Man, I love this too. So they had like all this propaganda stuff that was marketed along with the story, because the Skrulls make their presence known to the humans within this story, and they kind of try to integrate. Like, you guys can still live here. We're just going to run this place. So I love those all these kind of scrolled out pictures. I love that Wizard cover, Wizard 190. Some more Wizard covers. And then here's like the scroll propaganda. So cool, man. Like incorporating it into like, you know, advertisements within the Marvel universe. So then we have script at the end, and that's pretty much it. All right, guys, so there we have it. So my overall thoughts, I really did enjoy it. When I was reading this, it was on the plane. We went on a vacation, and it was just a page-turner for me. A lot of art, especially during the main arc. And then those tie-ins, although, like I said, I wish I would have read it in a better reading order. That was the more intriguing part of like how everything worked. The main event was big and superhero-y as you would expect it, and then it fills in those blanks with a little bit more explanation, I guess you would say. So I did enjoy this overall, and like I said, really intrigued and wanting to read New Avengers, the Omnibus, Volume 1. I think I've read more issues that are after Volume 1 just in tie-ins like this. So let me know what you guys think about Secret Invasion in the comments down below, the comic, and let me know what you think about the show. Let me know what you think they're going to do. Are they going to bring back OG Nick Fury? Got to. Stay minty fresh, y'all. Peace.